Boomskis. All right, brother.
Boom.
We are live. All right.
Yeah, we are, Bruce.
Let me fill my cup up of Victory Thursday juice.
You right.
Victory Thursday. Hey, well, congratulations to your Packers.
We both won.
Check Packers.
Check.
Oh man. Hey, real quick, guys. Welcome to another Third Down Thursday. I really did not think I was going to make it on time today.
Bruce may have broken a couple traffic laws, but he got here on time, so we're not going to talk about it. We don't need to.
This juice is well earned today, MJ.
For sure, and I'm sure that was more than 50% of the motivation. I mean, you love the show, but
75.
Yeah, you're right. So before we get going, Bruce has something to show you.
I do, y'all. Boom! The merch came in, guys. The merch came in.
It's fantastic.
Thursdays. So we got a few of these. Not too bad. Not too.
Bruce, you are very frozen. Brucey, my stream is still going, so it's not my internet. Interesting. Well, we have shirts available. Not sure on the pricing yet. Bruce and I need to figure that out, and Bruce has disappeared a little bit. So we're just going to talk for the time being. So I know what Bruce really wants to talk about is the Bears and the Packers. Bears have done very well in week one. Well, I wouldn't say very well. That might be a little misleading. The Bears won week one. I'll give them that. It was against the Lions, and the Lions don't have the best history when it comes to fourth quarter leads. So the Bears came back, down 17, 21 unanswered points. And in that sense, I mean, congratulations. Mitchell Trubisky led the Bears back. But other than that, I was not surprised. That's a game the Bears should have won. Lions without their number one receiver, Lions without their number 2 draft pick, Jeff Okudah, who would be their number 1 corner. So when you don't have the 2 of the 3 best players on your team, you really should win, as I'm hitting my microphone. We're going to grab my phone off here real quick, see if we can get in contact with Bruce, because I don't know what's going on. So we're gonna have a little intermission. But the one thing that I want to give credit. I know Bruce really likes Mitchell Trubisky. Calls him Truthbisky. He was going off on him all frickin' off season, and it drove me crazy. Drove me absolutely crazy. But Mitchell Trubisky, 3 touchdown passes in that fourth quarter. Absolutely fantastic. And 1 to Jimmy Graham, who I was ripping on. Now, I don't know if that fountain of youth has to do with the actual frickin' Detroit Lions and how bad they are. I personally think that has more to do with the Lions than Jimmy Graham really being the answer for the Bears at tight end. Personally, I think that Cole Kmet eventually would truly be the answer. Not right now. But again, I have to give props to the Bears. They came back down 17. That is not easy to do in the NFL, even when it comes to the Detroit Lions. So congratulations to the Bears. Still not at the level of the Green Bay Packers. Bam, bam, bam. Green Bay Packers. Best team in the NFC North still. Easily the best team in the NFC North. No doubt about it. So, I mean, again, I got to give the Bears props. I'm as much as I dislike the Chicago Bears, I don't wish ill will towards them. I just want the Packers to be better than them. As long as the Bears don't beat the Packers, and as long as they don't go further in the playoffs than the Packers, I'm fine with that. If y'all gotta, if y'all got to win a couple games, I mean, let's be honest. The more games the Bears win in the NFC North that don't have to do with the Packers, the better the Packers are off, because the Vikings are going to be worse in that case, and the Lions will be worse. So thank you, Chicago. That's a demoralizing loss for the Lions going into this week for the Packers. Then on the Packers side, beat down the Minnesota Vikings a little bit. The score looks closer than it was. It was 43-34. And, Bruce. We have Bruce back.
Oh, man, dude.
Hi, Bruce.
How's it going, guys? I'm on my phone right now.
Internet went down, huh?
Yeah, unreal. So, again, as I was saying, my apologies. So, what are you talking about, buddy?
I was actually giving your Bears some props. I was actually giving the Bears some props.
All right.
I mean, so basically what I said was they beat the Lions. Granted, the Lions had 7 blown fourth quarter leads last year, so basically my point was it's still hard to come back from down 17 in the NFL. That's still difficult, but that's a game they shouldn't have had to come back from down 17. The Lions didn't have their number 1 corner, they didn't have their number 1 receiver, and it was Matthew Stafford's first game in almost a year. So, I mean, they shouldn't have had to come back from 17. I thought they should have just won that game straight out, but Jimmy Graham somehow was able to catch a touchdown. He leaped like 2 inches off the ground. Still didn't look like he was just wide open. It was terrible coverage. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, Jimmy Graham is bad. And I'm like, no, he was wide open. It was really bad coverage because the Lions are bad.
It was terrible coverage.
Because the Lions are really bad. So...
Hold on, MJ, hold that thought. Guys, I'll be right back. I know this is terrible right now.
Come back.
I'll jump in on my, hopefully it'll work we're doing a test here. This is unreal. This is what happens when you do things live, guys.
Yeah, I mean, this is the joy of internet in 2020.
It's true. I haven't had any issues with it. Although, no joke, I know we haven't even gotten into the groove of our show, and I'm changing subjects. And
I don't care.
All right. Let's see if it kicks me out. It might kick. Oh, look at that. All right, I'm going to jump out because I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There we go.
Test. All right.
Fantastic. Wait, Bruce, give me some smooth jazz real quick.
Smooth jazz.
There we go.
I think we're okay.
Just wanted to make sure the mic worked. We're good.
Oh, goodness gracious. Let me tell you something. All right, so basically, anyway, so what happened was...
What had happened was,
first of all, I apologize, guys. That's my fault. Yesterday, I had some workers come in to cut the trees around my yard and ComEd, cutting wires, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Ever since then, I've had really spotty internet service.
Interesting.
So ComEd, if you're hearing this or see this, please send someone else to either pay my internet or help brother out here.
I know someone who works at ComEd. I can send him.
Yeah, me too. And he was like saying how he doesn't. He's like, it's not up to us. We hire third party. I'm like, I know you order third party, but there's still your
That's
voice.
still your That's still on you, boys.
So
anyway, your thoughts on the. I gave my thoughts on the Bears.
Okay,
give me yours.
I got caught out. I don't know if the people that are watching my stream actually heard it, but real quick before I get on the topic of the Bears.
Oh yeah.
Y'all, the shirts did come in. Bam.
They're looking good.
So they're pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie. I love it. It's a soft material. I don't know. Hit up MJ. We have very limited supplies because obviously we are a mom and pop, I guess.
Yeah. That's a good description. Yeah.
We have a little mom and pop operation right now going.
Yeah.
But hopefully we plan on doing some bigger and better things. That said, I think that, and with your permission, MJ, I think we should provide the first T-shirt we give out to the friend of our show, the only not back-to-back, but the only person that's come back.
Oh, yes.
Time.
Yes.
Mr. Christopher Black,
who should be on the air right now.
He is on here right now,
Yeah.
so he doesn't see this, and frankly, I don't think he would watch it anyways. But
Yeah, I feel like if Chris is sitting down and he's really bored, he might watch if it was live.
Bored as shit to watch other show.
You're not wrong, but
Fair.
I mean, he
Fair.
came back, so he must not completely hate us. But yes, we should get in touch with Chris, send him a shirt for sure.
For sure. That's that's the first person. And if things go well tonight with JJ, maybe JJ gets one too.
You're right, because he's been on the podcast. This is
Yes.
This is his second interaction with me, so clearly he didn't completely despise my guts.
And he recognized, as soon as I reached out to him, he recognized who you were. So you must be doing something right.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Big things.
But all right. So now moving on.
Moving on. Man,
this shirt does look
Keeping the
nice.
train.
It's snug. It's comfy.
You look good, Bruce.
Thanks, man.
Looking at that pump, I like it.
Little 36-year-old pump.
Mm-hmm.
All right, stop being a tool. All right. All right. So the Bears, dude. Okay. So first of all,
let me preface with this.
Okay.
When it was 23-6 entering the fourth quarter, how mad were you? How pissed off were you? You're sitting on your couch. It's 1:45, 2 o'clock. How pissed off are you?
Traditionally, I shout out Tuna. Got you. Big friend of mine. He's not big, but he's big.
Yeah.
Dude's awesome. Anyway, so we have a tradition of going over to a friend's house and we do like a tailgating time.
Yeah.
Like we'll when it gets around Thanksgiving, we do like the I don't know, driveway gate.
Yeah.
Whatever. And it's fun. It's great. I always make some awesome food. Anyway, so we usually go over to his place, and he's a huge Bears fan, and we did social distancing and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And we are Mitch supporters. We are behind Mitch in the Chicago Bears decision. I am not even halfway through this, and I'm already I love Mitch. I want to see him succeed. However, I was beyond pissed.
Yeah.
But I will say this though. I was not to the point where I'm like, change the quarterback. I never said that.
Because a lot of people at halftime were already jumping there.
Yeah, Tony Gonzalez was all over it right away. Tony Gonzalez is like, there needs to be a change made. That's a knee-jerk reaction that cannot happen. You can't have knee-jerk reactions. You have to wait. And the fact that he was 8 for 10 for 80 some yards and 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Dude, He was making pro throws out there. He was making I will go out and say that throw he made to Anthony Miller down the sideline in the end zone to go ahead.
Yeah.
That was an elite throw.
I mean, yeah, he made one elite throw.
That was an elite throw. That fourth quarter, he looked good. He looked like a number 2 pick in the NFL draft. I'll say that. Throwing for 3 touchdowns in a quarter, that's an elite player.
I mean, yes, but also I would remind you the fact that the Lions didn't have their number 2 pick in the draft. Desmond Trufant got hurt earlier in the game, and they were down to 3 cornerbacks on their roster.
You're not wrong.
So absolutely, Mitch looked good, but I take that with a grain of salt because there is no way on God's green earth he would have done that against almost any other team in the NFL in that quarter.
Yeah, but you play who you play.
For sure. But my point is, I wouldn't start expecting that from him.
Okay, that's fine.
In future games, if you're down 17 in the fourth quarter, you're not going to win with Mitchell Trubisky as your quarterback. You might be able to pull that off against the Giants this week. Maybe.
They'll be okay with the Giants.
Yeah, that's a game they should win. However,
dude, he'll be 2-0.
Yeah. You still have
this week, right?
Yeah, that'll be that should be fairly easy. I have it like 31-13 Packers or something like that.
I know you don't. I know you don't really gamble or anything like that. But have you checked the line on that game yet or no?
Yeah, it's because I have that in my previews. It's the over/under's 49.5. I don't know money line, but I know the Packers are 6.5.
They are 6.5.
Yeah.
So last I checked, the Bears were 5.5. Honestly, I would pull on that. I would pull on that. I think they're gonna.
Probably.
I actually will go out. All right, so we'll do our picks real quick right now.
Yeah.
Whatever. Why not? This is
Go
what
for
we
it.
do. We wing this shit. All right, I will go out and I'll say right now, Trubisky throws for 2 touchdowns, 1 pick.
Okay.
275 yards passing.
Okay.
Bears win. Final score, we'll say 24-14.
24-14. Okay, so you're taking the Bears 5.5.
I'll take the Bears 5.5. Yes.
Okay. I'll give you that. So I already wrote my Packers prediction article. I don't predict.
Can we get a preview?
Can we get a preview? Yes, we can get a preview.
Can we get a preview?
So my prediction was Packers 31, Lions 13.
Okay.
Because Kenny Golladay still is not going to play, is what it's looking like right now. He hasn't practiced yet this week, and just I'm sure you can attest to this as well. Watching Danny Amendola being the number 1 receiver, Jair Alexander will eat him up for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert. Like that. That will not be pretty. That leaves Marvin Jones on Kevin King, who is still much bigger than him. Like there's not good matchups there for the Lions. The only thing I will say, DeAndre Swift will probably have a decent day because Kenny Clark is probably going to be out with a groin injury. So that's our big guy in the middle. So that worries me a little bit. But even then, it's his second NFL game. He's not going to go out and beat the Packers by himself. I just don't think Matthew Stafford has the weapons to even really make it interesting. And Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, I cannot say enough good things about how fantastic they looked last week. So my comparison, and my dad said this as well. By the way, my dad told me to tell you not to book any travel plans for the Bears in the playoffs in January.
Oh, Pop's coming out strong. Hey, we need to get his appearance by the Mr. Hurley.
I might be able to make that happen, especially if I get sent home and I'm in Texas. I can definitely make that happen.
That could be kind of funny. That could be
for sure.
That could be. Oh, that'd be great. Honestly,
I would love to have that happen.
I actually have not seen your dad in quite a while, so it'd be nice to see that guy.
I'll see what I can do. But yeah, he said don't book any travel plans. I agree.
Is he a Packer fan? I can't remember if he's a Packer fan.
Yeah, how do you think I became a Packer fan?
Mr. Hurley, go Bears.
Anyway, so the comparison we both made was Rodgers and Adams looked like Rodgers and Jordy Nelson. So I'm sure you remember.
That's all he has, though. That's the problem.
Okay,
with the Packers.
no, it's not though. Did you Marquez Valdez-Scantling? I mess up his name. It's so hard.
I actually picked him up.
MVS, yeah. So MVS should have had 3 touchdown catches. He dropped 2, and that's been his biggest problem is drops. But the thing that was most impressive to me, he dropped what was probably the most wide open touchdown pass of the entire NFL Week 1. And then 2 plays later, Rodgers goes right back to him for a 45-yard touchdown catch down the right side. So that tells me 2 things. Number 1, MVS has a better mental game than he did last year.
Okay.
Because last year he would have dropped that ball again. And number 2, he's proven himself to Rodgers because we know how petty Rodgers is. And if he didn't trust him, he wouldn't have gone back to him. And that is very clear. Anybody who's watched the Packers for years knows once Rodgers doesn't trust a receiver, he will not throw him the ball unless he is more wide open than he's ever been in his life. So the fact that Rodgers went right back to him, and MVS was pretty well covered, and he went right back to him for a touchdown catch. So that impresses me. Allen Lazard, Rodgers has preached his confidence for him. So here's my point. Here's my point because
this is a Chicago show that we are not in Green Bay.
Yeah, whatever. Get out. I'm not in Chicago. Get out of here.
So what? For the most part?
People watch it on YouTube too. My followers watch it, and I have people who follow me for Packers coverage. So
okay, that's fair.
Get out of here, Bruce. My point is,
I cannot wait. I can't wait to watch the Bears pack. By the way, where's your Packers gear today?
I don't know.
It's a football Thursday.
I was cold. I wanted a sweatshirt. I don't know. I need to do laundry, Bruce. It's rough. I need to do laundry.
Your point was.
So my point is, Devontae Adams getting double covered half of the game. Granted by a rookie corner. The Vikings secondary is not good. I will be the first one to admit it. But Oh yeah, they were awful. But half of the time, Harrison Smith was lurking on Devontae Adams, and he still went for a record amount of catches in Packers history, over 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Adams could do whatever he wanted on that field, and he and Rodgers were on the same page. When you have somebody as talented as Devontae Adams, people just forget about the other receivers. And so even if MVS may have some drop issues, he's still physically more talented than Devontae Adams could ever dream of. It's the mental game that I'm worried about. But if he can prove that he's mentally better than he was last year, that's insane. Allen Lazard is a solid number 3. I will say that. So my point is, if MVS can prove to be the number 2, that makes it even more incredibly dangerous. And then we also have, Aaron Jones, who scored 1 less touchdown than Christian McCaffrey last year, and basically is a wide receiver in and of his own. So, to me, the Packers' offense was better than it's been since Aaron Rodgers MVP in 2011. I have not seen their offense that impressive since 2011, and that's when they had that Sports Illustrated cover of guys.
It's game 1 of the season with no preseason.
Yeah.
It's me saying this to myself as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
it's like total hold your horses. Let's not act like Aaron Rodgers is the Aaron Rodgers of old.
No, he's not. I like that. And I like that.
What?
I like that he's not the Aaron Rodgers of old.
Okay.
Because if he's not, he doesn't have the physical talents to do what he did in 2011. And I think he's finally realized that.
So you're looking at it from like a pure quarterback mind perspective.
Yes, and I think he's finally realized that.
I appreciate that. I respect that.
Yeah. So there were just a lot of things. The biggest issue the Packers had last year is I don't know if you've heard people talk about the first 15 plays. So the first 15 plays are usually scripted for an offense. The Packers' biggest problem
20.
Last year.
Well, some are 20.
Right, 15 or 20. Right. So the Packers' biggest issue last year is once they got past their first 15 plays, they were really bad. So they would score 2 touchdowns really early, and they wouldn't score for the most part in quarters 2 and 3. They outscored opponents a ridiculous amount in the first quarter, and they were awful in 2 and 3. And then Rodgers had to go try to be Superman in the fourth quarter.
So
on Sunday,
so let's pull it back now. So Superman in the fourth quarter, Mitchell Trubisky. That said, let's pull the reins back on that Green Bay talk, and let's come back to Chicago now. So one of the things that I do want to talk to JJ on, and I want to actually ask you about this too. What are your thoughts on Allen Robinson? Because I already have my thoughts. I've actually gotten into countless, I don't want to say arguments, but countless, what's the best way to put it? Countless heated debates about Allen Robinson if he's a 1. I 100% believe he's a 1. He's a 1. If that man had a quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' caliber, holy cow, ridiculous.
For sure.
That said, though, he's never played with a quarterback, a consistent, that's probably the best way to put it, a consistent quarterback. So that being said, Chicago Bears, hashtag extend AB. And also, so MJ, what are your thoughts on that, you big Green Bay Packer fan?
So, I mean, to me, Allen Robinson is the second best player on the team, so it seems ridiculous for me for them to not offer him an extension. He's 27 years old. Give him a 4-year extension. Then that takes him through his age 31 season. You can let him go at that point.
Team option for the 4th season.
Yeah.
So that way you can get him out. And then,
for sure.
$15 million a year.
Yeah.
You're done.
Last year, he had 100 catches, 1,100 yards. He's the number 1 on probably all but 10 rosters in the NFL, something like that. He's for sure top 15. I think you could get into some debates between like 8 and 15. But yeah, if I'm the Bears, it's ridiculous to me that they wouldn't give him an extension. And I'm
a rookie right now. I'm sorry. I totally wasn't live.
Oh my gosh. That's okay.
Anyway, sorry. Continue.
But yeah, I mean, he was, and we know his 2015 year with the Jaguars, his best season, 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns. And that was, I want to say that was with Blaine Gabbert as his quarterback.
It was either Gabbert. It wasn't Bortles. But exactly though. That's the example.
So to me, that shows that even with Mitchell Trubisky, he could produce that much. No, it was Blake Bortles.
Sorry, right. So
yeah. So I mean, to me, he's clearly the best offensive player, and depending on the day, he probably provides more value than Khalil Mack does. Depending on the day.
Wow. So we need to touch base on that too, because yes, we need to touch base on that too. But continuing with the AB talk, I do like what Anthony Miller was able to provide for the Bears this past week.
Yeah.
Because I think he had like 4 or 5 catches for 70-some yards and a touchdown at the end.
Yeah.
AB had 4 or 5 catches with a ridiculous across the middle dive in triple coverage, mind you.
Yep. That was a really good catch.
He put it only where A-Rob could get it. However, it's still a dangerous
really dangerous throw.
You're putting your wide receiver out to dry.
Yeah.
But he improves everyone else around him, including a mediocre quarterback.
Yep.
At best. And that goes for Blake and Gabbert and whomever else that he throws him the ball.
Yeah.
I think Mitch is better than me, just slightly better than mediocre.
Yeah, I mean, for the time being, I'd give him that.
Correct. So that being said, they need to extend the man, stop bullshitting, and just give him that money. It's not, like I said, it's not like don't play the game. Don't play the Chicago Bears game. Don't play that like the normal game of the Bears. Right. Overvaluing players that aren't going to be meaningful to your franchise for a long term or semi-long term.
They play
I'm sorry.
They play a really unsuccessful version of Moneyball.
Right, 100%. 100% accurate.
Yeah.
100% accurate.
It does not go
well. That said, I really do think that they need to re-sign him and then see what happens with Mitch this year. If they decline the 5th-year option on him, whatever. If he does well, if he has like what I predict a good year, 3,500, 20 plus 10. I did say that, and I'm continuing my prediction with that, and I'm on good trajectory for it.
Okay.
But if Mitch does well, extend him too.
Yeah.
Shit, who cares? It is what it is. What else are you going to find? The most difficult position to find in the NFL is a quarterback that's a game changer.
Yeah, I want to look at the 2021 quarterback free agents because I'm interested at that.
Regardless, though, your best way of building an NFL franchise or a team in general is to build that team through the draft.
Right.
Okay, and then piece together with veterans, obviously. That said, you hold on to Allen Robinson. You hold on to you're going to have Khalil Mack for another 2 years, 3 years? I can't recall the contract. Hold on to that piece too. He was, so to tangent a little bit, he was in the top 5 quarterback pressures this past week again. He just didn't get there.
Yeah.
So hopefully, Robert Quinn, hello McFly, Mr. Quinn, please play in the game. Okay, so that's another thing. Did the Chicago Bears sign a player? And I think I texted you about this. Did they sign up, or I might have tweeted it. I think I tweeted it. Did they sign a player who was injured and they weren't able to bring him in, but they signed him anyways? And then they left Cam Newton, who was a way better option out there for the Bears to look at. And while, yes, he's not your prototypical quarterback, but frankly, neither is Trubisky. So why not bring him in?
Okay, I want to... Anyway. No. I'm not going to let you say Cam Newton... He's better than a prototypical quarterback.
No, I'm saying he's not a prototypical quarterback. As in, like, you don't see him... He's more of a runner. He's like... he's a hybrid. He's a hybrid quarterback.
I mean, yeah, but he's also thrown for over 3,000 yards every year he started more than 14 games.
Fair enough. So that's fine.
That's what drove me crazy this weekend is watching Cam Newton, I mean, he ran all over Miami. That was easy. That was not difficult. I think everybody saw that coming. The problem was
they were trying to take his chain.
I saw that. he was ready to fight someone, dude.
He was.
But what drove me crazy is he doesn't have anyone to throw to. All he has is Julian Edelman, and
that's why. Go ahead. Sorry.
I feel bad for Cam Newton because you put him in Chicago. He could do. I really think he could do a lot with Robinson and Miller, who are both. I would take both of them right now over Julian Edelman.
And how about Mooney? I don't know if you watch. I don't know if you even watched the Bears game.
No, I did because I had both of them up at the same time because I wrote a recap on the Bears game too.
So did you see Darnell Mooney?
Yeah, he looked because David Montgomery only got 1 rush. Tariq Cohen got like 7.
Dude, Mooney, I love Mooney. Mooney's the slot receiver. He's like a 4 maybe right now, and that shiftiness that he has, the ability just to stop on a dime and just immediately accelerate. That's some. I don't want to go out there and say, "Oh, that's elite," but seeing how quick he was and how fast he was able to move.
Yeah,
that was nice.
It'll be how much can he translate that into actual effective route running? Because there's a difference between being fast and being a good route runner. But I mean, I guess at a point, Tariq Hill isn't really a great route runner. He's just really freaking fast. Tyreek Hill. No, Tyreek Hill. I combined. I'm talking about the Bears, so I said Tyreek Hill.
Oh man,
it's been a long day for me, too, bro.
Hey, it's all good, dude. So off the subject. So I was going. We've been for basketball practice right now.
Yeah.
Basketball contact days. We actually go to a park on Thursdays.
Okay.
So unfortunately, like our school ended up getting some kind of contract with the park district, and they were able to rent the park and the playground, not playground, but like the 2 basketball courts there for every Thursday until the end of October.
Okay.
Today was our first day there, and it's not a very like far jog or anything like that. So me and like the team jogged there with one of the other coaches. And I ended up having to boot kids off there and be like, "Hey, sorry guys."
Oh my gosh.
I was that guy. I was totally that guy. I felt
terrible. I'm trying to picture. I'm trying to figure out in my head without you saying it what.
I'll text
park
you.
Though. Okay, because I'm like, what park can you jog to from there?
It's actually super close. It's actually super close to the school. But I'll text you.
Okay, because I'm blanking right now.
So anyway, if you guys didn't know, the reason why I like Coach Bruce, backstory. Wow, I probably should have done this like the first episode. But no, I coach basketball right now.
Yeah.
Under level at a high school. It's awesome, amazing, so much fun. And I used to coach baseball. And I did. You guys all know about that.
Yeah. Because
So I coach.
Gotta get
right there. Bam.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. So back to our original topic. The one thing that actually scares the shit out of me, though, about the Bears right now is their defense.
Really? So
okay. In the fourth quarter, I had more confidence in Mitchell Trubisky than I did in that defense.
Wow.
They gave up over 400 yards of total offense to the Lions, who had an AP. By the way, AP is like a stud, dude. Keep rocking.
Yeah,
dude. That's awesome. Picked him up in fantasy too, by the way.
You're right.
But it's scary. They had 1 sack. Akeem Hicks had 1 sack. Jalen Johnson, by the way, stud corner, great rookie.
I like him.
Great rookie game. Had a great pass breakup that
hit
that Kyle Fuller picked off. And yes, great play, great job. He got trucked. He got absolutely trucked. And I know that no other Chicago radio station was talking about it. No one was saying they did, but it was very minuscule. But I'm gonna tell you right now, dude got freaking truck sticked.
He got destroyed.
I don't know if you did see it. Oh my god. As a Bears fan, I was like, damn it. As a football fan, I was like,
oh,
let's go!
I know. I was like, oh my gosh. He got wrecked.
But anyway, so I don't know, man. Robert Quinn not being there, to go back to that topic, Robert Quinn
Yeah.
got named. Eddie Goldman was missed, dude. Eddie Goldman was missed in that game, showing how AP rushed all over the Bears. So they need to find someone that's going to be able to plug that gap, man.
I want to look at their defense numbers.
Wasn't good.
No, they were.
It was not good.
Let's see.
Look at me, I have them in fantasy too. Ugh.
Oof.
Yeah, it was brutal. I actually thought I was doing something smart there. They forced a turnover. Okay, so total yards. I'm sorry. So total
426.
yards. They gave up 357. Sorry.
I see 426.
Really?
Yeah.
Hold on. So I was right. That was 426.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where they're getting this metric then.
I don't know, but
anyway, yeah. So they gave up over 400 yards.
They only gave up one touchdown though.
That's fair.
How is that possible?
Dude should have caught that damn ball at the end. I'm sorry, the Bears should have lost that game.
DeAndre Swift should have caught that ball. Yeah, for sure.
It would be a completely different narrative. It would have been like, wow, Trubisky did a really great job in the fourth quarter, but he played well. I mean, that's still a narrative right now.
But it would have been going on the defense.
Correct. You'd be questioning the defense, and that's exactly what we should be doing.
And they still should be.
As a Bears fan, you should be pissed. You should be like, what the hell are they doing? It's the same thing that happened in the playoffs 2 years ago.
Yep.
Against the Eagles. You need the defense to make a stop, and they didn't.
Yep.
So I'm sorry. Like, you can say they're an elite defense. They're a ridiculously awesome defense, whatever, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. So for the past, 2 years, last year they were mediocre. The year before that, they were great. But guess what? They couldn't make a stop when they needed to. And even this past weekend, they couldn't make a damn stop when they needed to.
Yeah. and that's the thing. The Packers' defense, I mean, you're well aware, has never been elite. They haven't been elite since the 2010 season when they won the Super Bowl. So the thing that the Packers need from their defense is a turnover to a game and a stopper to a game, because the Packers can win shootouts, and that's what we've been doing for years. And Jair Alexander basically single-handedly made the defense worthwhile on Sunday. He got a safety, and he got an interception right before the end of the second half that the Packers turned into another touchdown. So he swung the game by the 9 points that we won. So, I mean, it's weird to say, but the Packers' defense basically won them the game. And the Bears' defense lost them the game.
Yeah?
Almost. They should have. They should have.
Yeah, they should have. Honestly.
So, that's weird to say. But, going off of our conversation last week, whose defense would you rather have?
I'm still going to take the Bears defense.
Week 1, the Packers.
I'm still going to take the Bears defense.
I don't know.
I'll trade you quarterbacks.
Okay, Bruce, I may be in college, but I'm not on drugs.
That's all. Fair. That's good.
Oh my gosh. Okay. JJ should be coming on in a couple minutes, but we have a couple baseball teams in Chicago that are doing very well.
Ooh.
So
hey,
I'm not as
congratulations to my White Sox fans out there.
For sure.
I got to give you respect, dude. That team. I even watch that team. I don't give a shit. I'm a Cubs fan. I still watch them. Why not?
Yeah, they're really good.
They're so much fun to watch.
They're very. I will say they're very 2015 Cubs. They're gonna go. They're gonna go. They'll probably win their first series, and then I think they'll crash after that. They'll be able to win a short 3-game series, but I think in a longer 5-game series, they will probably take the L there. But if you're looking at it right now, currently they're the number 1 seed.
They are
in the AL.
Would be interesting if the playoffs ended, or I'm sorry, if the playoffs started today, the Sox right now currently would open up against the Indians. Or the Cleveland baseball team. I don't know.
It's the Astros. It's the Astros, Bruce.
I know. So they would
open against the Astros.
Is it the Astros now?
It's 8 teams. Yeah, it's the Astros.
Yeah, no. So the one, I'm sorry. I was looking at the MLB on Fox. And it's an old.
Okay, yeah. If you look at ESPN right now, it's White Sox, Rays, A's, Twins, and Yankees, and then Blue Jays, Indians, and then Astros.
We'll pull up ESPN stuff.
The Orioles right now are a couple games out. What's been encouraging to me is that Orioles, Tigers, Mariners pack has been slowly separating themselves and losing, which I appreciate because I really don't want. I would like this postseason to be as legitimate as possible. I know a lot of people don't like the 16-team thing, but if you look at it, if you have Astros, Indians, Blue Jays, Yankees, Twins, A's, Rays, White Sox, those are clearly the 8 best teams in the AL, and I think almost everyone could agree on that. 3-game series to start off might be a little bit weird, but I think most people can agree those are the best 8 teams. Now you go to the NL, that's just a crapshoot, and I don't trust those standings at all.
Hold on, this one says it was actually posted at 5:41 p.m. Eastern Time. It says, currently right now, it says it's the season ended today, the Sox will play the Indians. So I don't know if this is...
What's the Indians' record on there?
It doesn't give an actual record, it just gives you the matchups.
16 teams, that's 8 apiece.
So it says best of 3 series, higher seed was the home team. So the Sox will play the Indians, the Rays. Yeah, this is the most up-to-date one because it actually has the Sox clinched playoff spot, so it's most recent.
Yeah, so does this.
So it says 2, 3, Sox would play number 8 Indians, 7, Rays would play number 7 Blue Jays, number 3 Athletics would play the Astros, number 4
That's what's wrong. That's what's wrong. The Astros their winning percentage is .490.
So I don't know if this is a predictor or what. But right now, the Cubs would open up against the Phillies, and I'm totally okay with that because they would be able to avoid the Dodgers going into the going into the second round, and they wouldn't meet them until the NLCS potentially.
Yeah, that's also wrong. Because right now, the Cubs would open up against the Giants.
I'd take that too.
Yeah, I would too. But that, to me, that's what the Marlins, Giants, and Phillies do not deserve to be playoff teams. Really, neither do the Reds or the Cardinals.
So this could be the effed up year, and I know you're an Athletics fan, buddy, but this could be the effed up year. Go figure 2020, Chicago Cubs face the Chicago White Sox in the World Series. The Cubs are playing the first time hear me out. The Cubs are, for the first time since they were 13-3, up 10 games above 500 currently.
Yeah.
They are getting hot at the right time. Lester's actually pitching way better than he was when he was in a funk like 2-3 weeks ago. Alec Mills recently just threw that no-hitter, same day the Bears made a ridiculous comeback. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It could be kind of fun. North side, south side arguments and fun and shenanigans.
As much as I would love that, I don't see the Cubs getting past the Padres and the Dodgers.
Dodgers, I think they'll have troubles with, but Padres, I think they'd be okay with. And honestly, that's just my first initial
I don't know
reaction.
I mean, if you just look at it, to me the thing I like looking at the most is run differential. Cubs run differential 31, Padres 79, Dodgers 102.
But also, again, you have to consider that they're not playing anybody. Like obviously the NL Central.
Neither are the Cubs. The Cubs.
Well, right. No,
the Cubs aren't.
Saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, though. So, there's always that consideration, too, though.
I think the Cubs have a significantly easier schedule than the Padres and Dodgers do.
I would love to see what the breakdown is for
the actual strength of schedule.
Exactly. I would love to see, and this isn't even for argument's sake. This is just for my curiosity of, each, because it's all broken down by AL, NL divisional stuff. So,
right.
I would love to actually see what the strength of schedule is in each respective area.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about that a little bit later. JJ's here, so I'm going to let him in.
Awesome.
Switch that up.
Switch that. There he is.
How you doing, JJ?
Really, no one's at the door. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
The dog thinks anytime we say, hey there.
Bruce's dog goes crazy, too.
Hey, honestly, I deal with the same thing every day with my dog, so I completely get it, JJ.
Yeah. How's it going, guys?
It's going pretty well. Bruce is rejoicing over the Bears. I'm rejoicing over the Packers, so it's been a good week for both of us.
Yeah, there you go. 43 points against Minnesota. That's pretty good.
That was a fun game to watch.
Yeah.
Both of the NFC North games were really fun to watch. They were both very exciting.
I don't know if I'd describe the first half of the Bears game as fun to watch, but at least the fourth quarter was.
parts of both of the games were exciting to watch.
Yeah.
The end result is what we wanted, JJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, so JJ, first question I think Bruce and I have for you is, Bruce and I were discussing how if DeAndre Swift would have caught that ball at the end of the game, both he and I think the narrative would have been on the Bears defense. It would have been Mitchell Trubisky tried his best, but the Bears defense lost the game.
Mm-hmm.
Give us your thoughts.
That would have been a totally fair narrative to come out of this game. I mean, if the Bears defense had allowed 30 points and against Detroit, which, I think the Lions have a pretty good offense, but Detroit was missing Kenny Galladay and their starting right tackle, Big V. That would have been embarrassing. The flip side to it, and I'm actually writing about this right now as we speak on NBCSportsChicago.com, is that there are a lot of valid excuses for the Bears defense.
Yeah.
It's week one of a season in which there was a weird off season with a shortened training camp, no preseason games, no live hitting in training camp. We look around the league, there were 87 touchdowns scored by offenses around the league this year. That was an NFL week one record.
Wow.
And the Bears would have been the 10th team to allow at least 30 points in a game had DeAndre Swift caught that pass. So there are a lot of things, a lot of parts of this that make me think, you know what, maybe we should give the Bears defense a bit of a pass. Robert Quinn not being out there as well, being one of them. But then you look at some of the stuff that did happen, specifically with the run defense, and I'm a little less willing to give them a pass. Some of the holes Adrian Peterson had to run through on Sunday where you could drive a pickup truck through them. And I think that the Bears are going to miss Eddie Goldman this year. That is going to be something that we might notice week in and week out. The one thing I really did like about the Bears defense, though, was that Kyle Fuller and Jalen Johnson played really well. Combined, they allowed 3 catches for, I believe it was 47 yards. Only 7 of those yards came after the catch. So they were on these guys. They were getting them down. There weren't any really, really explosive plays when Matthew Stafford was targeting the Bears' 2 starting cornerbacks. So that's a good sign. Kyle Fuller is going to be tough no matter what, but that Jalen Johnson held his own was really encouraging for the Bears.
Fair enough.
How much of...
Go ahead, MJ. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, JJ, how much of that Jalen Johnson and Kyle Fuller playing so well was because they were, and not to disrespect these guys, but Danny Amendola and Marvin Jones are not exactly dynamic guys. They really are second and third options, and they're supposed to be assisted by the fact that Kenny Galladay would have gotten the most of the attention. So how much of that, if you can kind of compare, was really the play of Kyle Fuller and Jalen Johnson, who I think are very good corners, and how much of that was the guys they were matching up against?
Well, part of it certainly was that Kenny Galladay wasn't playing. I mean, that you're taking out one of the 10 best receivers in the NFL, in my opinion, out of the lineup. That is going to make a big impact on the coverage. But, it's not that Marvin Jones is not Kenny Galladay, obviously. Marvin Jones is still a good receiver.
Yeah.
And the way that the Lions offense operates, it's actually a pretty good offense. I kind of like what Darrell Bevell does there. A lot of play action. Matthew Stafford was 7 of 8 on play action. Had a really, really good day when he was getting into those looks. But when Matthew Stafford was not using play action, he completed, I think it was only about 50% of his passes. So that's another kind of good indication that the coverage was good. You're going to have a tough time defending play action. Any defense is. But if you're getting the guys on the ground quickly, that is usually a good sign. Now, where Darrell Bevell really schemed things up well was that he kept getting Marvin Jones and Marvin Hall on Danny Trevathan. And, Danny Trevathan, outside of those plays, looked kind of slow on Sunday. But, Danny Trevathan's going to look slow trying to chase down Marvin Hall and Marvin Jones any day of the week.
For sure.
So I also, when I went back and I watched the film, I was a little less concerned about Danny and more concerned that Chuck Pagano kept getting Danny in those situations until he got Deion Bush on the field a little more in the second half.
I did see them going a little bit more nickel, too. You're right. But, so I'm going to switch sides of the ball, though. So the amount of trust that has been there with Trubisky, I've seen through the post game stuff recently, and also even in the I say preseason, but in camps during the interviews with the coaching staff and whatnot. Is that true trust? Do you sense that true trust with that whole team, or is that kind of like one of those things where they're saying the right things?
I think it's a little bit of both. Okay. Bruce. I think there is a trust that Matt Nagy has with Mitch because he's been with him for the last 3 years now. Mm-hmm. And, obviously Matt Nagy's seen the downs of Mitch's career, but he also has seen some of the ups.
Right.
And, John DeFilippo, Bill Lazor coming into here with some fresh eyes on it. Certainly those guys trust Nick Foles, but I think that, if Mitch Trubisky didn't develop some trust with them, he wouldn't have won the job. The one thing I keep going back to with what the Bears offense looks like is that it looks like nothing we had seen from Matt Nagy, from a Matt Nagy scheme. There was so much more going under center. There was a lot more play action. There was a lot more heavy personnel sets. It's exactly what you want an offense to look like in 2020. Mm-hmm. But, those three things are things that really good offenses around the league do a lot. Specifically play action and passing from heavier personnel sets. Mm-hmm. So Matt Nagy, I think credit to him for taking a look at his offense and being like, you know what, this isn't working. And I've got if Mitch is going to be our guy, if he's going to go win the job, we have to tailor the offense to what he does well. And, when you go play action, you're kind of cutting down some of the reads that your quarterback has to do. I think my favorite play of the game, I broke this down on NBCSportsChicago.com with my colleague Adam Hogue, was they were in 13 personnel, so one back, one receiver, three tight ends. And Trubisky ran a play fake to Tariq Cohen and rifled a 19-yard pass with pressure in his face to Darnell Mooney for a first down. Mm-hmm. And I thought that play was a perfect encapsulation of the differences in the Bears offense from this year to last year. You got a guy, and Mooney, who you got to respect his speed. Because, the quarterback who was on him, Amari Owarie, was running step by step with him. He had deep help over the top, and yet still had to respect Mooney's speed. So when Mooney put on the brakes, Owarie was about 4 yards away from him when Mooney caught that ball. And then on top of that, just having the heavy personnel set. So the Lions of 10 guys crowded around within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage on that play. You go play action to Cohen. It freezes Will Harris, the safety who dropped down into the box. And that just opened up a very easy throw for Mitch, even when Cody Whitehair got beat on the play by Danny Shelton. So I thought that play just made things easy for Mitch in a way that things were just not easy for Mitch last year.
That's fair. So one of the things I actually think that's going to help with him this year be successful or have some kind of success is that tight end group with Cole Kmet and also with Jimmy Graham. One of the things that MJ and I have had a conversation about as well is how I personally think that Cole Kmet and Jimmy Graham are going to be able to help Mitch be successful this year. So I would just appreciate your thoughts on how you think that tight end group will help him and be successful at all this year.
Well, don't forget Demetrius Harris.
True.
I mean,
yes,
he should have, had Mitch made a good throw, Demetrius Harris would have had a touchdown against the Lions. Mm-hmm. The Bears still got in the end zone on that possession. It was toward the end of the third quarter. Harris ran a really nice corner route in the end zone. Mitch missed him. But that's, Demetrius Harris is a good football player. We saw it a lot during training camp. So I think those three guys, I'm adding him to the group, give the Bears something they had absolutely nothing of last year. You look at their 12 personnel usage, two tight ends on the field last year. They were third lowest in the NFL. In 2019 and 12 personnel usage. The Eagles were first, the Chiefs were fourth. So kind of the two closest cousins of this offense used it more than most other teams in the NFL. And I think that this is an untapped part of Nagy's offense, is getting two tight ends on the field. Because last year, you couldn't get any tight ends on the field. They didn't have anyone who was worthy of being on the field. So Nagy had to go with so much 11 personnel, and that's what he did in 2018, but they at least had Trey Burton playing at a decent level that year. Jimmy Graham, disappointing game for him. He was very forthcoming after the game saying that He can't let those mistakes happen. Where he kind of just failed to high point those 2 passes from Trubisky. But you see him in the red zone, like you throw a jump ball to him and he's going to still come down with it. That's still Jimmy Graham. That he still can get some things done. Kmet, I think, if he has 30, 35 catches this year, that's probably a good year for a rookie. But that's why I'm adding Demetrius Harris to this, because I think from that wide tight end position, the inline spot that Kmet and Harris play, you could be talking about 50 catches for 500-600 yards out of those two guys, Kmet and Harris. And I think, a lot maybe put on Kmet as the rookie, the highest drafted tight end in last year's class. But Harris is a guy who knows Matt Nagy, knows this offense, knows what Nagy wants out of that wide tight end spot from their time in Kansas City. I think those 2 guys plus Graham, I don't know if it's going to be hyperbole to say those guys could have 1,000 yards of receiving combined this year. After the Bears last year, their leading tight end had 91 yards receiving.
Oh my gosh.
They had a converted offensive lineman as a tight end. I mean,
yeah, man, boy, we have moved well beyond the Bradley Sowell experiment.
Yes, thank you. So I'm gonna switch sides. MJ, I have just one more question.
Go for it.
I'm sorry. So a lot of people want to know what's going on with Robert Quinn. On the defensive side, Khalil Mack, I did see from I think it was Pro Football Focus, said that he finished in the top 5 in rush, beating his man. That said, I mean that's great, but you got to see results.
Right.
So that said, I think having Robert Quinn on the field will help a lot with that too. What's the word that you've heard about that? I know he had limited practice this week, so far this week. Limited practice could be anything from he stretched with the team to going through a few walkthrough stuff. Have you heard anything? What's the word on that?
So my read on Robert Quinn is that as soon as the Bears took the field Sunday and the first snap of that game was played and Robert Quinn was not on injured reserve, that told me they think he's back either this week or next week.
Okay.
Because if Robert Quinn was going to be out for any longer than that, if they had any concerns about that, they would have put him on injured reserve and taken use someone else to take his roster spot.
Right.
3 weeks. So I think, I don't know if Quinn's going to be back this week. We've seen it in years past with Matt Nagy and Andre Tucker. They sometimes are a little cautious with guys when they're, they haven't practiced, then they're limited, then they miss the game, but then they come back the week after. So I would expect Robert Quinn to be back by the Falcons game at the latest. But, like you said, Bruce, Khalil Mack was, the way I've described it is he was disruptive but not destructive. Right. And the Bears are paying Khalil Mack to be destructive. So, yeah, he had 6 pressures by Pro Football Focus, and when you go back and you watch the game, you're noticing him playing well, but he's not hitting home. He's getting held. That didn't help. But he's not hitting home on those sacks that, you've come to expect out of Khalil Mack. And that's because the Lions were able to kind of commit some resources to him. Barkevious Mingo and James Vaughters and Travis Gibson were not scaring Darrell Bevel into, saying, we got to do something about them. They're getting singled, and they weren't winning those matchups. You don't expect them to. So when Robert Quinn's out there, all of a sudden you have to respect his ability to get to the quarterback, and I think that helps not only Robert Quinn get some sacks, it should help Khalil Mack get some sacks. So whenever Quinn does get back out there, the Bears should be able to beat the Giants without Robert Quinn. Frankly, they should be able to beat the Giants without Robert Quinn and Khalil Mack, because that's how bad the Giants are. But when you get to that Falcons game, that's where you're going to need both those guys out there. To make sure that Matt Ryan does not have a ton of time to pick out Julio Jones a bunch in that game.
Yep.
So how confident are you, JJ, in Robert Quinn to provide more value than Leonard Floyd did last year? Because I think that was the biggest issue. Well,
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but that was...
No, but my point is, that was Khalil Mack's issue, was he was getting doubled even with Leonard Floyd on the field.
Yeah, Leonard Floyd, I want to say this before I kind of go in on this. Leonard Floyd is a solid football player. Like the all-around stuff that he does as an outside linebacker is pretty good. He's really good at setting the edge against the run. He can drop into coverage. He's got length. He just can't win a one-on-one matchup against a tackle to get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Which is what kind of hamstrung this defense last year when Akeem Hicks got hurt. So, you're asking if Robert Quinn how confident I am that Robert Quinn's going to do better than Leonard Floyd. I'm very confident because the bar is pretty low when it comes to pass rushing. Robert Quinn had, let me get this right, Robert Quinn had as many sacks in 2019 as Leonard Floyd had in 2017, 2018, and 2019 combined. So,
well, there
Leonard
you go.
Floyd as a pass rusher was just not cutting it.
Yeah.
And when you got Khalil Mack here, the thought was Leonard Floyd's going to go off because, you know, look at his potential. He's going into year 3 in the NFL, and this is the time he's going to get all these single matchups, and he got these single matchups and got swallowed by anyone who wasn't playing tackle for the Packers. So that, because I'm sure, MJ, you probably have a different opinion of Leonard Floyd, having watched him weirdly beat Green Bay all the time.
I still don't know.
Green Bay.
It made absolutely no sense because Green Bay had 2 really good tackles.
I loved it.
Bakhtiari and Balaga. But, you know, Robert Quinn, I don't know if he's going to have double-digit sacks, but if you get 7, 8, 9 sacks out of Robert Quinn, that probably means Khalil Mack's getting 11, 12, 13 in 2020.
Okay.
What amazes me is the fact that so many people are picking the Bears to have over like 55 sacks this year too. I don't know if you've like remember hearing about some of that craziness going on too, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
I mean, I got asked on back when we had Sports Talk Live on our air by our host David Kaplan if I thought the Bears could, if Robert Quinn and Khalil Mack could have over 26 sacks. Like that's how out of control some of the hype got.
Cap was all in it. Cap was all for it too. Cap was all for it too. I remember that.
You're absolutely right, Bruce. He was all in on it. Let's like pump the brakes a little bit, but
take that, JJ. Take that.
Yeah, right. Take that. I think back to this, and this is something that my old colleague John Moon Mullen always told me was that he talked with Richard Dent. Richard Dent told him every great defense has 3 great pass rushers. It's the Richard Dent rule of 3, and the 85 Bears had Dent, they had Mongo, and they had Hampton.
Yep.
Wilbur Marshall obviously in there too, and Otis Wilson. Tons. Obviously, that defense is the best of all time. But the Bears are able to do it without 3 elite pass rushers in 2018 because their secondary was so good.
Right.
And I think this defense is set up to have Quinn, Mack, and Hicks.
Yep.
And your 3 elite pass rushers, and that kind of falls into what Richard Dent would say would make a great defense. I think we still need to see what this defense looks like with Robert Quinn on the field before we really pass judgment on it. Obviously, like we were talking about at the Open, there were some concerns with, Danny Trevathan looking a little slow, but otherwise, I had Dave Wanstead on the Under Center podcast this week, and I asked him about that, and he was kind of like, that's probably just knocking the rust off. Like,
it's preseason.
A lot of these guys were just having the problems knocking off the rust. It wasn't just in Chicago. It was kind of all over the league.
So one of the things that also concerns me, and I'm sure you already know this as well, is the fact that you mentioned that I can't recall what the number was of teams giving up 30. Was it 10? 10? 9?
It was 9.
Yeah, it could have been 10.
Caught that pass.
So 9 teams gave up 30 points, and traditionally you think that defenses are always ahead of offenses at the early part of the season. So what do you attribute that more to? The fact that there was less amount of time for the preseason? Do you think that's less amount of time players actually being inside their facilities? What do you actually attribute that to?
Well, I attribute it to all those things you mentioned, and then also that offenses are kind of creeping ahead of defenses in the NFL right now. I mean, that's just kind of the way the game's going. You look at, just the analytics that are kind of getting into the game and telling everyone, hey, just go use play action. You don't really have to establish the run to use play action because it's kind of a cheat code. Right. And you're seeing a lot more of that. You're also seeing, the amount of great young quarterbacks in the league right now. Bears fans listening to this probably don't want to hear it, but there are a lot of great young quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And the ones who are kind of at the twilights of their career, like Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, are still throwing the ball really well. So it's there's kind of this like golden age of quarterbacks that have kind of come up, and they've come up in this kind of more analytical world that leads to offenses starting to become ahead of defenses. And then you throw in defenses not hitting in training camp, not having preseason games, having a shorter training camp, maybe not being in the best football shape because of it, that all kind of lends itself to offenses being ahead early in the year. I think defenses will catch up, as coordinators kind of get a better feel for what they have and get a better feel for what opposing offenses are going to do. But right now, I think offenses league-wide. The Packers-Vikings game, what was that score, MJ?
43-34.
43-34?
Yeah.
That's 77 points.
The over-under was 46, and people were smashing the under. The Packers and Vikings hadn't combined for that many points since, I want to say, like, Brett Favre, Dante Culpepper days.
Yeah,
like,
and those are two good defenses.
Right.
I know Danielle Hunter didn't play, but, like, the Packers' defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
And a Mike Zimmer defense giving up 43 points at home is, like, that's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
With the safeties they have and the linebackers they have, for them to do that is just nuts.
Yeah.
So I think that just kind of lends itself to, hey, the Bears are not the only team around the NFL that's having problems on offense. The defenses that did well, the Steelers and the Ravens specifically, faced the Giants and the Browns. So,
JJ, you don't think the Browns are really talented?
I think the Browns are talented. I just think they're a mess.
I saw something today, and JJ, I don't know if this came from you or where it was on Twitter, but somebody said Baker Mayfield or Joe Burrow is going to be what people thought Baker Mayfield was going to be.
Nice.
Which I really think is true, because Joe Burrow looks way more polished. Even in his first game, he was very close to leading them on a fourth quarter comeback. What?
We all thought Baker Mayfield was going to be, the second coming of the NFL's greatest quarterback.
Right.
After his rookie year, and then Freddie Kitchens got his hands on him. Kind of ruined him.
And Odell Beckham came to town.
I think it's more that you look at some of the numbers that Baker had last year. He got ruined by that coaching
for
staff.
sure.
Really bad. Hugh Jackson may be smarter football mind than we give him credit for.
True. The one thing I think Bruce and I both want to ask JJ is I'm stealing it from you, Bruce. I'm stealing it from you.
Because I just got a text from a buddy right now. It's like, you better be asking.
Oh boy. Okay, so what we all want to ask is Allen Robinson contract extension. First of all, I think most people agree he's very valuable to the Bears and they need to keep him around. So if you could discuss the value Allen Robinson brings to that team, and also from your insight and everything you know, the likelihood of him actually getting an extension in Chicago.
So the likelihood of him getting an extension is high. I still really believe that, because everything that we heard yesterday from Matt Nagy specifically, who did, by the way, a phenomenal job diffusing this whole thing, was that we want to keep Allen here. And, Matt Nagy's not the one who's crunching the numbers. He's not offering the contracts. But, Matt Nagy is the public face of the Chicago Bears.
Right.
And for him to say that, I don't think he's saying that if he doesn't think his guy Ryan Pace, who he's really close with, is going to get a deal done.
Right.
So I still think A-Rob gets that contract extension. It's disappointing that it had to get this far. The Bears waited, and all of a sudden Amari Cooper gets $20 million.
Nope.
Keenan Allen gets $20.1 million. DeAndre Hopkins gets $27 million. Cooper Kupp, who's not as good of a receiver as Allen Robinson, goes and gets $16 million. So all of a sudden now, if the Bears were saying, A-Rob, hey, we're thinking like $17, $18 million, A-Rob's like, absolutely not.
Like, hello?
He's as soon as Amari Cooper got that new contract, A-Rob's probably like $20 million. That's the bar. Now, and I think Allen Robinson and Amari Cooper, I kind of think they're comparable receivers. I like them both. And Allen Robinson and Keenan Allen, by the way, a great comparison here in terms of playing style, age, talent, all the above. Keenan Allen gets $20.1 million. Allen Robinson's probably like, give me $20.2.
Yeah.
Like, that is where it's at. And the Bears should pay that. Because what Allen Robinson means to this team, to answer the first part of your question, MJ, is everything to this offense. He's the only reliable player on this offense right now.
Yeah.
You can go into a game and say, we can trust that guy. That might change as the year goes on. Anthony Miller might do some good things. Komet, Graham, those guys might do some good things. But Allen Robinson on the field is the best offensive player the Bears have. And then off the field, the kind of presence he is in the locker room is, you can't discount that. I mean, there's a reason why the Bears drafted Riley Ridley and stuck his locker right next to Allen Robinson's in that locker room last year. They wanted Riley Ridley to see how Allen Robinson goes about his work. When we hear Matt Nagy say, Darnell Mooney reminds me of Allen Robinson in the film room, that is about as high of a compliment as you can pay a player for what they do off the field. And then additionally, outside of Hallis Hall, Allen Robinson is a consummate representative of the Chicago Bears. The work he does with his charity, the Allen Robinson Within Reach Foundation, does a lot of really good things for communities in Chicago. Allen Robinson has been very vocal and passionate and really, really good speaking about Black Lives Matter. They're literally, there's no better representative of the organization than Allen Robinson. So I don't understand why the Bears haven't paid him yet. And that's why I think a deal still gets done, because it just makes too much sense. And if they don't get a deal done, by the way, they're going to have a really pissed off locker room. They might even have a really pissed off head coach, because Matt Nagy knows the value of Allen Robinson. They have a really close relationship, he and A-Rob. And players are going to see, so wait a minute, we paid Akeem Hicks, Eddie Goldman, Cody Whitehair, Eddie Jackson. We gave those guys big contracts, but we're not giving A-Rob one? That's not going to sit well with anyone in that locker room.
No.
It's not going to sit well with prospective free agents.
Nope.
It would be a disaster for the Bears if they did not keep Allen Robinson, which is why I think they will.
Exactly.
And even just...
Go ahead, MJ.
I was just going to say, even just on, like... Obviously, I absolutely agree with your point on the locker room aspect, but even just, like, how much worse the Bears would get on offense. Because, I mean, Bruce and I were talking before you came on, JJ. I mean, I believe it was 1,100 yards last year. He was clearly the best wide receiver on the team by far. I would put him top 15, maybe even top 10, depending on the day, receiver in the NFL easily. I mean, you lose one of those guys, I don't care what you get back. It's going to be hard to receive better value from that in a trade when you could just keep him.
Right, and the Bears are not tearing anything down.
Right.
Like, if you're planning on a teardown in 2021, then yeah, you probably entertain an offer for A-Rob. But the Bears are not set up to tear this thing down in 2021.
No.
So there would be no good reason for Allen Robinson to not be on this team in 2021. If the Bears are saying, all right, you know what, the cap's going down by $23 million, and we've got to try to plan for the future. Well, then you've done a bad job planning for the future to that point. Like, if your plan for the future does not include Allen Robinson, then there's not something wrong with Allen Robinson and the demands he wants in his contract. There's something wrong with your plan for the future.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with the money you've allocated and can't get out of in the future. Or there's something wrong with needing to pay a quarterback in 2021. Like, that's the other part of this. Like, if the Bears say, and we can't pay Allen Robinson because we're going to have to pay a quarterback next year in free agency or pay Mitch. Well, then why the hell do you trade for Nick Foles?
True.
If you're waiting on that. Like, this doesn't make any sense, which is why, again, they're going to get something done with Allen Robinson, because if they don't, it is a catastrophe for the organization.
And Ryan Pace.
Yeah. I mean, right. I mean, that if you're saying, again, that we don't have the money to pay Allen Robinson, then you've done a bad job allocating your money previously. Yeah. That's just it.
Right, exactly. So I actually have two questions for you. One short term and one long term. Let's hear those predictions here, JJ. So who you got this weekend for the Bears Giants?
Oh, Bears. I think they win it by 2 possessions.
I think I said what, 24-14, MJ. So
yeah.
That sounds okay.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then secondly, I'll give you my prediction first on this before I even ask you about it. So I'm a Mitch believer. I actually do like him. He's like everything I want in a quarterback with regards to his professionalism. He says the right things. That's probably the best way to put it. That said, I actually think he's going to throw for around 3,500 this year, 20 touchdowns, 10 picks. That was my prediction for him this year.
If he does that, 20 touchdowns, 10 picks.
Well, I said 20. I did say
At least
20
20
plus touchdowns.
Yeah.
But
20 plus. Okay, got it. Then because I was saying if he's only at 20 and 10,
right. I
don't think he gets that far. I think Foles is playing.
No, I did say 20 plus. That was my exact quote.
Yeah, I think Mitch bought himself a lot of time after the Lions game. Like, he's not going to get replaced until, if things really go badly, he still probably has 4 more games in him before they go to Foles. But, I think if Mitch starts all 16 games, he's probably doing about what you're saying, Bruce. Say 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 3,500 yards. That's probably the bare minimum to get him through the season. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, too, does that merit him a contract extension then?
I'm
glad I don't have to make that decision.
Fair, good answer.
Good answer.
So,
the last thing I would ask you, JJ, before we let you go, is if Mitchell Trubisky does that, if he goes 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, 10 picks, what record does that translate for the Bears?
I think that gets him 10-6.
Okay.
Bare minimum, because while I'm writing this thing kind of excusing the defense, I'm not totally sold that this is all just a week 1 blip.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not totally there. So the Bears' plan this year kind of always was like, let's improve our offense, but really have one of the 3 best defenses in the NFL. I don't think they have one of the 3 best defenses in the NFL. Based off of week 1, they could have a top 7 defense, which is about what they had last year. And with Mitch making those improvements, I think that probably gets them at least 2 more wins. Which 10-6, you make the playoffs in an expanded field. I don't think you go very far because you're probably not going into the Superdome and winning, or going into wherever it may be. I was about to say Arizona and almost caught myself. You're probably not going into Seattle and winning, but you at least get in the playoffs and have some fun in January for a week or 2 and see where it gets you.
That's fair.
So JJ, we're definitely gonna, just so you know, we just got some merch, brother, and we're gonna send you one of these bad boys. Here, wait, let me little Third Down Thursday action. We're gonna send you one of these bad boys, if that's okay. Like it. If that's okay with you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Nice, man. I know. I mean, you can rock it like sometime, whenever. It's okay. You can let people know about us. It's okay.
but for real, JJ, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much for doing this. We appreciate it a lot.
Glad. Fun hanging out with you guys, talking football.
Much appreciated, Jay. So, if you, I don't know, do I make an attention to? Because I'm legit telling you, I'm gonna send you one of these bad
Bruce
boys.
will send you one.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll wear it.
I'm gonna message you about it. I'll message you on Twitter, and then we'll go from there.
You got it, man.
I appreciate it, JJ. Thank you so much for your time, brother.
All right.
Perfect. Talk to you later.
Thanks for having me on.
We love JJ.
Awesome cat. Go Bears. Let's go.
I will say, because like I said before, I interviewed him on my podcast. He is a lot of fun. Not only, and I know we say this about because we get good guests, but I mean, he's extremely intelligent, but he's also realistic. He knows a lot of what's going on, but he's not afraid to, tell us how it is and give us a little personality. So,
hey, you heard it, by the way. You heard what he said. My prediction for Trubisky, the truth, Trubisky.
Well, I mean, yes, to be clear, like, if Trubisky performs at his best, but I still don't think my biggest issue is the weapons around him, and you know that. Like,
that's fair.
I mean, if JJ is right and those tight ends can produce 1,000 yards, I think that's huge. But under that scenario, when he was talking about Kmet and the other guy producing 600, I think he said, that means Jimmy Graham needs 400. That's the only thing I had an issue with.
Well, we'll see what happens. You never know.
I don't know. I think
it'll be good stuff.
I mean, Jimmy Grant's still 6'6", so yeah, he's still going to get red zone targets. You'd be an idiot not to throw it to him in the red zone, but I don't know. Bruce, the last thing I want to touch on real quick is the Denver Nuggets.
Oh
my word!
So many people got screwed over by.
Literally, like half of the country. I watched somebody put a compilation together of like every reputable person on talk shows, Twitter, everywhere saying Clippers were gonna win it all, and they're like, Clippers over Lakers, easy. And the Nuggets come through, roll through the Jazz. Like, I just can't wait for the Lakers to go up 3-1.
You know who said Lakers to win it all, right?
We both did.
That's how we roll on this show, baby.
Yes, sir. We know how to predict things. Because, okay, Lakers, the Nuggets are on a roll, but my problem is, like, okay, the Clippers don't really have big men, right? They have Montrezl Harrell, they got Zubac, like, they got some decent big men, but they don't have LeBron and AD. So, Nikola Jokic can dominate in the paint. I have an issue with...
too.
Yeah, he can shoot, for real. And those one-legged shots are terrible. People, like, make fun of it, but he practices those. Like, there's tape of him practicing those shots. However...
I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Real quick. Chris Webber had a great quote about Jokic saying that he's the guy that you roll up to a park and think to yourself you're going to whoop his ass in basketball, and that guy, and he ends up kicking yours, and you're upset about it because you thought you would whoop his ass.
Exactly. Did you see the end of the Clippers game, the behind his head pass he made?
Yes.
He's just toying with people at this point.
That's a really good team. However, I want to actually bring up also the Heat. I like that team.
I do too.
And while I don't necessarily think they're going to get past the Celtics, I actually would love to.
They're playing right now.
Yeah, they are. I would love to see Jimmy Butler get out there and get some dubs. By the way, did you see he actually makes his own coffee now?
I saw that. That was adorable. Coffee? Yeah, he's made his own little coffee.
Yeah, dude.
Shop in the bubble, cool. Which is just adorable. But no, they're tied. Adorable. Miami's up 1-0 in the series. They're tied right now. It's 76-74 Celtics right now. So I think I have that series going to 7 personally. I think that's going to be really close, back and forth.
Okay.
I think the Nuggets. I'm going to go Lakers in 6, and then I think whoever comes out of the East, the Lakers will absolutely annihilate them.
I said Lakers in 5 against the Nuggets.
They'll win the game 3-1 just to make people freak out, and then they'll lose game 6.
What's interesting to me too, and I hope this dynamic is not lost. That this is a neutral site games.
Yeah.
It's all neutral site, which I love. And as much as they want to make the home team, it's neutral site. There's no crowd, super crowd noise or anything like that. There's no, I love that dynamic. In fact, you actually saw it in the Rockets series when they lost. Rondo's brother got kicked out of the game talking crap to Westbrook. Which
I love, by the way.
Oh, it's great.
It's amazing.
It's gamesmanship. It is what it is. It's fun. But I'm going to say Lakers in 5. Man, that Heat Celtics, there's a part of me that really wants... I'm going to do it. I'm going to say I'm going to say Heat in 6, but Lakers will win it all still.
I'm saying Heat in 7, and then probably Lakers in 6, because, if you look at it, who on the Heat is going to defend LeBron and AD?
Bam will probably defend AD.
And then you're going to put Jay Crowder? Well, you have the history between Jay Crowder and LeBron, which is probably who will end up guarding him. But
and you'll probably see Butler on him a little bit, too.
Yeah, but I don't trust Butler on LeBron at all.
And that's fine, and I completely respect that. But there's a reason why Jimmy Butler has been named to the all defensive team multiple times too.
However, the biggest thing is in transition, Jimmy Butler can't do crap against LeBron. There's nothing anyone can do against LeBron. Let's be real.
You're seeing a dude that's 6'8", 270 pounds coming at you.
Yeah, he's actually 6'9", 250, but it's okay.
Whatever.
No, because I looked it up the other day. Because Kevin Durant is 6'11" and 240, and then LeBron is 6'9", 250.
There's no way Durant weighs 240 pounds.
You think it's less?
That's 6'11". Okay, that might be true.
Yeah.
Fair.
Because he's skinny, but yeah, whatever. But yeah, I think
his calf is the size of this, the mic right here. That's his calf.
You're right. Although it was a little bigger when it popped.
Oh, okay. And with that.
but no. the last thing I want to mention, guess who unfollowed all of their teammates on Instagram and Twitter? Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh, it's because he's coming to the Bulls.
Bro, what reason would he have to go to the Bulls?
I don't know. I just want to see him. But to
but
be honest
still,
with you, we need to touch base on this a little bit next week, I think, because
yeah.
we got to remember this because I'm annoyed with, and while yes, it is a ability for a player to potentially use as a negotiation tactic.
Yeah.
But like for A-Rob to delete all of his Bear stuff off of his Instagram account, and now for
that's more, and I've talked to people about this. That's more of a PR move than anything.
Right. Well, like I said, it's a negotiation tactic for them to use. So I would actually want to dive more into that next week if we can.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you if you're the Warriors, you throw the number 2 pick. I'm still saying number 2 pick, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and a couple other picks in exchange for Giannis. We take Wesley Matthews off their hands because they don't want Wesley Matthews. That contract is awful. We take him off their hands, and then you still have what possibly could still be one of the best teams in the East. You get Anthony Edwards, Klay, Chris Middleton, Draymond, and Brook Lopez. That is still one of the top 3 teams in the East, no question. And
I was just waiting to see how long you would think that I was frozen.
You did actually freeze.
Huh?
You did actually freeze when you did that.
That's pretty funny. So we're perfect.
But yeah.
No, I don't disagree. I don't. But I don't know. I think this is a great topic that we definitely need to get into because
And for somebody like, because I major in sports communication, so we talk about stuff like this. So
well, I major in sports communications.
Okay, Bruce, I'm going to turn off the stream before you start ripping into me anymore. But thank you, everybody, for watching.
Yes,
Bruce,
sir.
I think we had a fantastic show. I had a lot of fun fighting through the technical difficulties.
Oh, my God.
It's okay.
Apologize to you guys, to you, MJ, to everybody watching about my technical difficulties. It's totally my fault. I need to get my internet fixed. That said, hey, the merch is here.
Hit us up if you want
let
some.
Me know. Shoot me a message if you guys want to support your local dumbasses.
That's the best quote I could ever have. I can't say anything better. As always, wear your mask. Don't be an idiot. And
yes. JJ, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, JJ. We'll see y'all next week. Hopefully we'll have more Victory Thursday for the Packers and the Bears.
Go Bears.
Go Pack, go.